Lachlan, welcome to another edition of Time In. Well, tonight on our program, we're going to discuss the 1984 high school football scene with coaches from two area teams who currently are undefeated. John Wagner, head coach of the Roselle Park Panthers, will be on hand, along with Pat Barbato, the head coach of the Colonia Patriots. Both teams are 2-0 on the young season, with important contests facing them this weekend. And we'll take your phone calls at 636-5333, and you can talk with our guests tonight on Time In. We'll also have a report on the New Jersey Nets, who opened camp this past Friday. And in addition, we'll have...
Win the World Series. And, sir, who's going to win the World Series?
Well, I think the Detroit Tigers will win them because they're the best team in the league.
Okay, fair enough. You'll hear my prediction plus many others tonight on Sports Forum.
I'm Paul Spahala, and tonight I'll have the story of the resurgent football program at Governor Livingston Regional High School. And I'll also have a story about former New Jersey All-Staters John Williams of Somerville and Andre Tippett of Barringer, now playing for the New England Patriots.
And, of course, we'll have your questions for John Wagner, head coach of the Roselle Park Panthers, and Pat Barbato, the head coach of the Colonia Patriots, when Time In returns right after this break. Welcome back to Time In. I'm Matt Lachlan. Well, it looks as if it'll be the Chicago Cubs and the Detroit Tigers in the World Series, as both clubs have jumped out to 2-0 leads in their respective league championship series. For Sports Forum, Steve Mayer was on the road asking the fans who'll win the World Series.
I think the Chicago Cubs are going to win because they want to win more so than the Detroit Tigers, I believe.
I feel the Detroit Tigers are going to win it because I think they have a better team, and Chicago is good, but I'm just a Detroit fan this year, you know.
Well, I say Detroit's going to win in 4 games. I don't think any team's going to beat Detroit. They've got the pitching, they've got the hitting, they're a bombing ball club.
Detroit, because my daughter said so.
I think Chicago, because they've been the luckiest team so far.
I take Chicago, too. They have superior hitting and luck.
Detroit, because they play good ball, and I do not like the Chicago Cubs.
Why? Why don't you like Chicago?
I don't. They took the pennant away from the Mets.
The Tigers, maybe.
I like Detroit for the simple reason they have more pitching, a lot more hitting, and better defense.
The Cubs, because they're good. They know how to hit. Boom!
The Cubs are going to win because they have the will to win, since it's been such a long time since Chicago has won.
I want San Diego. It looked bleak, but I think the Cubs probably get it.
Chicago Cubs. Anybody beat the New York Mets is all right with me. And I'm a Mets fan from the bottom of my heart. And the Cubs are a hidden ballpark. They got a ballpark for it, and I think they win. If I was betting man, I'd bet on them.
Who's going to win the World Series?
The Cubs.
Chicago, they're better games, they're better plays. Look what they did the other day and the day before yesterday. They're going to walk away with it.
Detroit, I believe. A better team.
The Cubs. Definitely the Cubs.
The Detroit Tigers and the Chicago Cubs last met in a World Series back in 1945, and back then it was Detroit coming out on top. Well, this time they will meet again. And because of the spirit in Chicago, I think the Cubs are going to do it and end up as World Series champions. For TV3 Sports, I'm Steve Mayer.
Okay, Steve, thank you very much for that report on Sports Forum. And, of course, the championship has not been wrapped up for either Detroit or Chicago, but they're just one game away from advancing to the World Series. And I would really be surprised if either Kansas City or San Diego can sweep the next 3 games and knock Chicago or Detroit out. So it looks like, indeed, it will be Chicago and Detroit, a Midwestern World Series this year. They're only separated by about 6 hours, and those Cub fans have been waiting a long time, nearly 4 decades, and I'm sure they're excited about their Cubbies' chances.